The attack on the Vorthak homeworld began at exactly midnight local time. The Vorthak never saw it coming. Dr. Huang Suyong had spent weeks preparing the final weapon. It was not a bomb or a missile. It was something much worse. It was a virus that attacked Vorthak genetic material directly. "Are you certain this will only affect Vorthak?" Admiral Subin asked one final time. "Completely certain," Dr. Huang replied. "I have tested it on genetic samples from over 300 species. It only reacts to Vorthak DNA. And it will work on all of them? Every single one, no matter where they are in the galaxy." Admiral Subin nodded. She had spent her career protecting life. Now she was about to end an entire species. But they had killed human children. Some choices once made could not be forgiven. "Deploy the weapon," she ordered. The virus was released through the water systems of every Vorthak world. It was invisible, odorless, and completely undetectable by Vorthak medical technology. By the time they realized what was happening, it was too late on the Vorthak homeworld. Thekmor was in his command center when the first reports came in. "My lord, we are getting medical emergencies from all over the city," his aide reported. "Vorthak citizens are getting sick." "Sick how?" "They are just stopping. Their hearts stop beating. Their brains stop working. They simply die." Thekmor felt a chill run through his body. "How many?" "Thousands. And the number is growing." Within an hour, the number was millions. Within a day, it was everyone. The virus was perfect. It caused no pain. The Vorthak simply went to sleep and did not wake up. But it was also completely thorough. Every single member of their species, no matter where they were in the galaxy, was affected at the same time. Thekmor realized what was happening when he began to feel tired himself. "The humans," he whispered to his aide. But his aide was already unconscious at his desk. Thekmor tried to send one final message, but his fingers would not work properly. The room was spinning around him. He fell to the floor and lay there, breathing slowly. With his last breath, he understood that the humans had never been weak. They had been merciful, and mercy was not the same thing as weakness. When mercy ended, so did the Vorthak. Colonel Oseogen was on one of the Vorthak colony worlds when the virus took effect. She had been preparing to attack their military base, but suddenly there was no need. "Colonel," reported one of her soldiers, "all Vorthak life signs have stopped." "All of them?" "Every single one, ma'am. The entire species appears to be gone." Colonel O looked around at the Vorthak city. Just hours ago, it had been full of life. Vorthak citizens had been walking the streets, going to work, caring for their young. Now it was completely silent. "Collect all their weapons and technology," she ordered. "Destroy anything that could be dangerous. Leave everything else as a monument." "A monument to what, ma'am?" "To what happens when you anger humans." The news spread throughout the galaxy within days. The Vorthak Empire, which had seemed so powerful just weeks before, no longer existed. Not a single member of their species remained alive anywhere in the known universe. The other alien species were terrified. The old Kethran, who had tried to warn the Vorthak, sent a message to the human leadership. "We understand now why the galaxy has been peaceful for so long. We will make sure everyone remembers this lesson." The blue-skinned Althari held special ceremonies on all their worlds. They built monuments to honor the humans who had died on New Sol, and to remind their children never to anger humanity. Other species began teaching their young about the importance of respecting human life, especially human children. Teacher Shin Yuna was still hiding in the forest of New Sol when the human rescue ships finally arrived. She and the 3 children she had saved were some of the only survivors of the entire planet. "Teacher," asked little Minho as the human soldiers helped them into the rescue ship, "are the bad aliens gone?" "Yes," Yuna said, holding him close. "They are gone forever. Will they come back?" "No," said one of the human soldiers. "They cannot come back. Ever." Commander Lee Jinho returned to New Busan Station after the war ended. The station looked the same as before, but everything had changed. The galaxy was different now. Ambassador Choi Yunji found him in his office, looking out at the stars. "The other species want to meet," she said. "They want to discuss new treaties. New agreements about how to treat human civilians." "And what kind of agreements?" Jinho asked. "Complete protection for all human colonies. Immediate punishment for any species that harms humans. Some of them want to give us official guardianship over their own worlds." Jinho nodded. "And what do we want?" "The same thing we have always wanted," Yunji said. "Peace." Captain Kim Do-hyun entered the office with a report in his hands. "Sir, we have requests from over 50 species. They all want human protection. They all want to join our alliance. They are scared," Jinho said. "Yes, sir. Very scared." Jinho stood up and walked to the window. Outside, ships from dozens of different species were arriving at the station. They came seeking friendship, protection, and forgiveness. "Send them all the same message," he said. "What message, sir?" "That we are still the same humans we were before. We still prefer peace to war. We still want to help other species solve their problems without fighting. Nothing has changed." "But sir," Do-hyun said carefully, "everything has changed. They know what we can do now." "Good," Jinho said. "Now they will think twice before they force us to do it again." 1 year later, New Seoul was rebuilt. The new colonists planted cherry trees just like before. They built schools and hospitals and playgrounds where children could play safely. A monument was built in the center of the main city. It listed the names of all the people who had died in the Vorthak attack. At the bottom of the monument were these words: "They died because one species forgot that human patience is not human weakness. Their sacrifice ensured that no species will ever forget again." Teacher Shin Yuna became the principal of the new elementary school. On the first day of classes, she stood in front of her students and told them about the importance of choosing peace whenever possible. "But teacher," asked one of the children, "what if someone refuses to choose peace? What if they hurt innocent people?" Yuna looked out the window at the cherry trees blooming in the schoolyard. She thought about the 3 children she had saved, and the 20 she could not save. Then, she said quietly, "They learn why the galaxy chooses peace with humans." The galaxy had learned its lesson. In the years that followed, there were no more wars involving human civilians. When disputes arose, they were settled through negotiation and compromise. Not because other species had become more peaceful, but because they had learned what happened to species that were not peaceful with humans. The Vorthak Empire was gone. Their worlds were empty. Their name was forbidden to be spoken in many cultures. They had become a cautionary tale told to young aliens about the importance of respecting human life. And in the deep archives of human military facilities, Dr. Hwang Soo-young's weapons remained ready. Just in case another species someday forgot the lesson that the Vorthak had learned too late. That humans choose peace not because they are weak, but because they are strong enough to choose mercy. And mercy, once withdrawn, never returns. The first Vorthak outpost to go silent was on the edge of their territory. It was a small base with only a few hundred soldiers. They were supposed to send a report every 12 hours. When the report did not come, the Vorthak command sent a ship to check on them. The ship found the base still there. All the buildings were undamaged. All the equipment was working perfectly, but there were no Vorthak anywhere. The soldiers had simply disappeared. "Where did they go?" asked the ship's captain. His crew searched everywhere. They found weapons left behind. They found half-eaten meals still warm on tables. They found beds that had been slept in the night before. But they found no bodies, no signs of fighting, no messages explaining what happened. The soldiers had been there one day and gone the next. The same thing happened to the next base. And the next. One by one, Vorthak outposts throughout the galaxy went silent. Colonel Oseojin and her ghost battalion were responsible for most of these disappearances. They moved through space in ships that could not be detected by Vorthak sensors. They could land on planets without making any sound. They could walk through Vorthak bases without being seen. "How do they just vanish?" asked one of her soldiers as they left another empty base behind them. "We do not make them vanish," Colonel O said quietly. "We relocate them." "Where?" "Somewhere they cannot hurt any more children." The relocated Vorthak were taken to secret human facilities. They were kept alive, but they were never seen again. General Bae Jin-woo was coordinating the larger operations from his command center on Earth. His job was to destroy the Vorthak military without letting them know how powerful humans really were. "Status on the fleet actions?" he asked his operations team. "Vorthak patrol ships are disappearing at a rate of 12 per day, reported Major Park Sun-ho. They send distress signals, then nothing." "Are they seeing our ships?" "No, sir. As far as they know, their ships are just breaking down or having accidents." The Vorthak military command was getting worried. They had lost contact with 47 bases and over 200 ships in just 2 weeks, but they had no idea what was happening to them. "It must be equipment failure," said one of Thekmore's generals. "These things happen." 47 bases do not have equipment failure at the same time, said another general. This is an attack. Attack by who? Thekmore demanded. The humans are doing nothing. We have spies watching their major worlds. They are going about their normal business. What the Vorthak spies did not know was that the humans they were watching were actors. The real human military was somewhere else entirely. Dr. Huang Suyong had activated weapon systems that the Vorthak could not even imagine. Some of her weapons could attack ships from light years away. Others could disable entire fleets without firing a single visible shot. The quantum disruptors are working perfectly, she reported to Admiral Subin. We can destroy their ships by making their engines stop working. They think it is mechanical failure. And the genetic targeting systems? Ready for deployment. We can target any Vorthak in the galaxy. The weapon will ignore all other species. Admiral Subin studied the reports coming in from across the galaxy. The Vorthak Empire was slowly falling apart, but they did not understand why. How long until they realize what is happening? She asked. They are starting to suspect, said Commander Li Jinho. Their intelligence services are asking questions about human military movements. Let them ask, Admiral Subin said. By the time they understand, it will be too late. The Vorthak finally began to understand. They were under attack when an entire fleet of their warships suddenly stopped working while they were traveling between star systems. 200 of their best ships had been moving toward a human colony world. They planned to do to that world what they had done to New Sol. Instead, their ships lost power and began drifting in empty space. What is happening? The fleet commander asked his engineering teams. Unknown, sir, they reported. All systems are failing at the same time. Engines, weapons, life support, communications. Everything is shutting down. The fleet commander tried to send a distress signal, but his communications were not working either. He tried to restart the engines, but they would not respond. Then human ships appeared. The human ships were unlike anything the Vorthak had seen before. They were sleek and moved without making any sound. They seemed to bend light around them, making them hard to see. Attention, Vorthak fleet, came a voice over their communication system, which somehow was working again. This is Captain Kim Do-hyun of the Terran Defense Force. You are now prisoners. Impossible, the Vorthak commander said. Our ships are superior to yours. Your ships are disabled, Captain Kim said calmly. Your weapons do not work. Your engines do not work. You cannot escape. How? Does it matter? You killed our children. Now you will face the consequences. The Vorthak commander tried to argue, but it was useless. His ships were taken one by one. His soldiers were removed and taken to unknown locations. Within hours, the entire fleet was gone. News of the fleet's disappearance reached the Vorthak homeworld the next day. 200 ships, Thekmore said, staring at the report. How do 200 ships just disappear? The humans took them, said his intelligence chief. Impossible. We have been monitoring human military activity. They have not mobilized any major forces. Then how do you explain this? The intelligence chief asked. He showed Thekmore pictures taken by long-range sensors. The pictures showed human ships that looked nothing like the ones they had seen before. Where did these ships come from? Thekmore demanded. We do not know. They appear to have been built in secret. For the first time since the attack on New Sol, Thekmore felt worried. How many ships do the humans have that we do not know about? We are trying to find out, the intelligence chief said. But our reconnaissance ships keep disappearing when they get too close to human space. Thekmore stood up and walked to the big window in his command center. Outside, he could see the great city of his homeworld. Millions of Vorthak lived and worked in the city. They had built a great empire by conquering other species, but now, for the first time, Thekmore wondered if they had made a mistake. Send a message to the human leadership, he said. What kind of message? Tell them we are willing to discuss terms. The intelligence chief looked surprised. Terms, my lord? Peace terms, a treaty. An end to hostilities. But we are winning, the intelligence chief said. We destroyed one of their worlds. We showed them our strength. Thekmore turned away from the window. Are we winning? We have lost 60 bases and over 400 ships. We do not know where the humans are or how they are attacking us. Our own intelligence services cannot explain what is happening. He sat back down at his command chair. Send the message. Tell the humans we want to talk. The message was sent that day. It reached Commander Li Jinho at New Busan Station within hours. Jinho read the message twice. Then he deleted it. Sir? Asked his aide. Should we respond? There is nothing to respond to, Jinho said. They killed 2 million of our people. They targeted children. There will be no negotiations. What should I tell them if they send another message? Jinho looked out at the stars, thinking of teacher Shin Yuna hiding in the forest with 3 frightened children. Thinking of all the families who would never be together again. Tell them nothing, he said. Let them wonder what is coming next. The message from New Seoul reached Earth 12 hours after the attack ended. It was teacher Shin Yuna's voice, broken and scared, telling the story of what the Vorthak had done to the children. Fleet Admiral Im Subin was in her office when the message came. She was a small woman with gray hair, but her eyes were sharp like a knife. She had been in the military for 40 years. She had never heard anything like this message. The recording played in the emergency meeting room. All the human leaders were there. They watched the pictures of burning schools and empty playgrounds. They listened to the Vorthak leader laughing about killing children. When the recording ended, the room was completely silent. How many? Asked President Kim Dae-jung. 2.3 million, said Admiral Subin. Almost all of them civilians. Many were children. The president closed his eyes. And they did this to make a point. They wanted to show other species what happens when you do not surrender to them, said General Bae Jinwoo. He was the head of special operations. He had been quiet during the recording, but now his voice was cold. They wanted to scare us. Dr. Hwang Soo-young spoke from her seat at the end of the table. She was the director of the Prometheus Research Division. Most people did not know what Prometheus really did. How long since the last time? She asked. 212 years, the president said. The Catherine incident, said Admiral Subin. But that was different. They attacked our military bases. This was genocide, said General Bae. They targeted civilians on purpose. They killed children to break our spirit. The president looked around the table. These people had spent their lives keeping peace in the galaxy. They had stopped wars before they started. They had saved millions of lives by choosing negotiation over violence. But some choices, once made, could not be unmade. Protocol Omega, the president said quietly. Admiral Subin nodded. All in favor? Every hand in the room went up. Dr. Hwang Soo-young spoke into her communication device. Prometheus Command, this is Director Hwang. Authorization Alpha 77. Wake up the sleeping giants across the galaxy. Things that had been hidden for over 200 years began to wake up. On Luna, the moon base that everyone thought was a research station opened huge doors that had been sealed for centuries. Inside were ships, thousands of them. They were not like the ships other species had seen humans use. These ships were built for one purpose only. On Mars, the mining operations that had been running for decades stopped mining and started building. The robots that had been digging for metals began assembling weapons instead. In the asteroid belt, rocks that everyone thought were empty suddenly came alive with lights and movement. They had never been empty rocks. They had been sleeping military bases. Colonel Oseojin got the message while she was training with her unit on Europa. Her unit was called the Ghost Battalion. Most people did not know the Ghost Battalion existed. The few who knew about them thought they were just rumors. Time to go to work, she told her soldiers. They had been waiting for this day, hoping it would never come. All across human space, people who seemed like normal civilians got messages on their personal devices. Shop owners who had been selling alien art for years packed up their stores and reported to military bases. Teachers who had been working with alien children said goodbye to their students and disappeared. Farmers who had been growing food for mixed species colonies suddenly were nowhere to be found. The galaxy began to notice that humans were acting strangely. Commander Lee. Jinho was still on New Busan Station when the orders came. His new orders were very different from his old ones. Diplomatic operations are suspended, said Admiral Subin's voice through his secure communication device. You are now Strategic Operations Director. Activate all intelligence assets. Begin information warfare operations. Jinho looked around his office. On the walls were pictures of successful peace negotiations. Pictures of humans and aliens working together. Pictures of wars that had been stopped before they started. He took the pictures down and put them in a box. Captain Kim Do-yun found him there an hour later. Sir, we are getting reports from all over the galaxy. Human ships are moving. Lots of them. Ships nobody knew existed. How many? Jinho asked. We are not sure yet, Do-hyun said. but the aliens are scared. The Althari ambassador asked to speak with you. She says her people want to help. Tell her we appreciate the offer, Jinho said. But this is a human matter now. The alien species in the galaxy began to remember stories their grandparents had told them. Stories about the early days when humans had first come to the stars. Stories about what humans were like before they chose to become peaceful. The old Kethran, who had tried to warn the Vorthak, sent a message to his home world. The humans are moving. Tell everyone to stay out of their way. The blue-skinned Althari held emergency meetings on all their worlds. We must not interfere, their leaders said. We must not help the Vorthak. We must not do anything that might anger the humans. Other species began moving, their ships away from any area where they might accidentally get between humans and Vorthak. Dr. Huang Su-Yung opened laboratories that had been sealed for over 2 centuries. Inside were weapons that broke the laws of physics, weapons that could destroy entire star systems, weapons that could target specific genetic codes. Are we really going to use these? Asked her assistant. We are going to use whatever it takes, Dr. Huang said. They killed our children. General Bei Jinwu activated sleeper agents throughout the galaxy. These were humans who had been living normal lives for years, sometimes decades. They owned shops, taught school, ran small businesses, but when they got the activation signal, they remembered their real jobs. How many assets do we have in place? Admiral Subin asked during the next briefing. More than anyone suspects, General Bei said. The Vorthak think they know where all our people are. They are wrong. The Vorthak Empire began to notice that human merchant ships had stopped coming to their territory. Human diplomats who had been trying to arrange peace talks disappeared overnight. Human colonies that had been asking for protection suddenly went quiet. Where did they go? Asked Tekmor. His military advisors did not have answers. Perhaps they are afraid, one suggested. Or perhaps they are planning something, said another. Tekmor laughed. Let them plan. We have seen what humans do when they are angry. They hold meetings and send messages. They negotiate and offer compromises. They are weak. But some of his advisors were not so sure. They had been getting reports from Vorthak ships throughout the galaxy. Reports of human ships that moved too fast to track. Reports of human bases that appeared where no bases had been before. My lord, said his intelligence chief, we may have underestimated them. Impossible, Tekmor said. We saw how they reacted to New Sol. They sent messages. They called for talks. They did nothing. What Tekmor did not know was that humans had spent the last 200 years becoming very good at doing things, quietly. Admiral Subin stood in the command center deep under Luna Base. Around her, thousands of officers worked at stations that controlled the greatest military force the galaxy had ever seen. Status report, she said. All fleets are in position, reported her operations officer. Ghost operations are active across Vorthak space. Intelligence assets are providing real-time targeting data. Prometheus weapons are online and ready. And the other species? They are staying out of our way. Most have offered to help, but we have declined. Admiral Subin nodded. She looked at the big display that showed the entire galaxy. Red dots showed Vorthak positions. Blue dots showed human forces. There were many more blue dots than red ones. They wanted to teach the galaxy a lesson about strength, she said quietly. Let us teach them one. New Sol was a beautiful world. The colonists had planted cherry trees everywhere, just like the ones from old Earth. When spring came, the whole planet looked like it was covered with pink and white clouds. Children played under the trees while their parents worked in the fields or in the small cities. Teacher Shin Yuna was outside with her class when the ships appeared in the sky. The children pointed and laughed. They thought the big black ships looked funny. They had never seen warships before. Teacher, why are those ships so dark? Asked little Minho. He was only 6 years old. I do not know, Yuna said. But she felt scared when she looked at the ships. Something was wrong. Mayor Yoon Hajin was in his office when his communication device started beeping. The message was from the Human Defense Fleet. This is Admiral Song Kyung, said the voice. We have Vorthak ships approaching your planet. Do not panic. We are coming to help. Hajin looked out his window. He could see the black ships getting bigger as they came closer. There were so many of them. How long until you get here? Hajin asked. 6 hours, the Admiral said. Try to keep everyone calm. Do not let them land if you can help it. But it was too late. The Vorthak ships were already landing in the fields outside the cities. Huge doors opened on the ships and soldiers came out. They looked like giant lizards walking on two legs. They carried weapons that glowed red. Farmer Kang Minho was working in his field when the first ship landed near his house. The ship was so big it crushed his cherry trees. Soldiers came out and pointed their weapons at him. "You will come with us," one of them said. The words came from a device on his chest that turned his lizard sounds into human words. "Why?" Minho asked. "I have done nothing wrong." "All humans are wrong," the soldier said. "You exist." Mayor Hajin tried to call the Vorthak leader. He wanted to talk. He wanted to find a peaceful solution, just like humans always did. "I am Mayor Yoon Hajin," he said when the communication connected. "Welcome to New Seoul. How can we help you?" "You can die quickly," said the Vorthak leader. "Or you can die slowly. That is your choice." "Wait," Hajin said. "There must be some mistake. We are peaceful people. We have children here. Families. We mean no harm to anyone. Your children will grow up to be like you," the Vorthak leader said. "Weak and useless. Better to end it now." Hajin could not believe what he was hearing. "You cannot be serious. We can negotiate. We can find a solution that works for everyone." "The solution is your death," the Vorthak leader said. "All of you." The line went dead. Teacher Yuna heard the explosions before she saw them. She grabbed her students and ran toward the school building. Behind them, the Vorthak soldiers were setting fire to houses. "Why are they doing this?" asked little Minho. He was crying now. "I do not know," Yuna said. She was trying not to cry herself. "Stay close to me." They ran into the school and locked the doors. Yuna used her communication device to call for help. "This is Teacher Shin Yuna at New Seoul Elementary School," she said. "The aliens are attacking us. They are burning everything. They are killing people. Please help us." She sent the message to Earth, to the space stations, to anyone who would listen. Admiral Song Kyung arrived with the human defense fleet, but he was too late to stop what had already started. His ships were smaller than the Vorthak ships. He had 12 ships. The Vorthak had 50. "This is Admiral Song Kyung of the Terran Defense Fleet," he said on the open communication channel. "Stop your attack on the civilians." "We can talk about this," the Vorthak leader answered. "There is nothing to talk about. Watch and learn what happens to weak species." The Vorthak soldiers went from house to house. They did not care if the people inside were old or young, sick or healthy. They killed everyone they found. Farmer Kang Minho tried to protect his family, but the Vorthak soldiers were too strong. They had weapons that could cut through anything. They had armor that stopped human bullets. "Please," he said as they dragged his wife and children outside. "They are innocent. Take me instead." The Vorthak soldier looked at him with yellow eyes. "We will take all of you." Teacher Yuna hid in the school basement with 23 children. They could hear the soldiers walking around upstairs, breaking things and laughing. "Teacher, I want to go home," whispered a little girl named Suna. "Soon," Yuna lied. "We will go home soon." She knew they would probably never go home again. But she had to keep the children calm. The Vorthak found them anyway. They always found everyone. The soldiers came down the stairs with their red weapons glowing. They looked at the children like they were looking at insects. "Please," Yuna said. "They are just children. Let them go." "Children grow up to be adults," the soldier said. "Better to stop the problem now." Admiral Song Kyung tried to fight, but his small fleet could not win against so many Vorthak ships. When he tried to protect the evacuation ships that were trying to save civilians, the Vorthak destroyed them all. "This is Admiral Song Kyung," he said in his final message. "Tell Earth what happened here. Tell them the Vorthak killed everyone. Tell them—" His ship exploded before he could finish. The attack went on for 3 days. When it was over, New Seoul was silent. The cherry trees were burned. The cities were empty. The schools had no children. Out of 2,300,000 people, only a few hundred survived. They hid in caves or in the deep forests. Teacher Yuna was one of them. She had saved 3 children, but 20 others had died protecting them. The Vorthak leader made a recording of what they had done. He sent it to every human world and every space station. "This is what happens to species that are too weak to fight," he said in the recording. The camera showed the empty cities and the burned fields. "This is what happens to their children." He showed pictures of schools that had been destroyed. He showed hospitals that had been bombed. He showed playgrounds where no children would ever play again. "Other human colonies can surrender now, or this will happen to them too," the Vorthak leader said. "Choose quickly." Teacher Yuna sat in the forest with the 3 children she had saved. They were hungry and scared. They had no homes to return to. "Will help come?" asked little Minho. He was the same boy who had asked about the dark ships. Yuna looked up at the stars. Somewhere up there, other humans would be getting the message about New Soul. They would see what the Vorthak had done to their people. "Yes," she said quietly. "Help will come." She did not know what kind of help would come, but she knew it would come. The Vorthak had made a terrible mistake. They thought humans were weak because humans chose peace. They thought humans could not fight because humans preferred to talk. They were about to learn that there is a big difference between choosing not to fight and not being able to fight. The galaxy was about to remember why. For over 200 years, no species had dared to hurt human children. The Vorthak had just become the first species in over 2 centuries to find out what happened when you made that mistake. The space station called New Busan floated quietly in the darkness above the planet. Inside the station, thousands of beings from different worlds worked together. Humans, aliens with blue skin, creatures with many arms, and others that looked like walking trees all moved through the bright hallways. Commander Lee Jinho stood at the big window in his office. He watched the ships come and go from the station. Some ships were long and thin, others were round like balls. Each one came from a different world with different people. Jinho had been running the Terran Diplomatic Corps for 10 years. His job was to help different species solve their problems without fighting. He was good at his job. In the last 200 years, humans had stopped over 1,000 wars before they started. "Commander," said Dr. Park Minji, as she walked into his office. She carried a tablet in her hands. Her face looked worried. "We have visitors." Jinho turned from the window. "What kind of visitors?" "The kind we have never seen before," Minji said. She showed him the tablet. On the screen was a picture of a large ship. The ship was black and had sharp edges like a knife. "They call themselves the Vorthak Empire. They came from outside our galaxy." Jinho looked at the image. The ship did not look friendly. "Have they asked to talk?" "Not asked," Minji said. "They told us they want to talk. They said we will meet them now or they will take what they want." Captain Kim Do-hyun walked into the office. He was a big man with scars on his hands. "Sir, their ship is 3 times bigger than our biggest ship. They have weapons we cannot identify." Jinho sat down at his desk. "Set up a meeting. Get Ambassador Choi Yunji ready. We will talk to them the same way we talk to everyone else." 2 hours later, the Vorthak came to the station. They were tall creatures that looked like lizards walking on 2 legs. Their skin was dark green and covered with hard scales. Their eyes were yellow and never seemed to blink. Their leader was called Thekmor. Ambassador Choi Yunji met them in the big meeting room. The room had seats for many different types of beings. Some species needed water. Others needed different air to breathe. The humans had built the room to make everyone comfortable. "Welcome to New Busan Station," Yunji said with a smile. "We are happy to meet new friends." Thekmor did not sit down. He stood tall and looked down at her. "We are not here to make friends. We are here to tell you about the new order." "New order?" Yunji kept smiling, but Jinho could see she was being careful. "The Vorthak Empire now controls this part of space," Thekmor said. His voice was deep and rough. "All species will follow our rules. All species will give us what we want. Any species that fights us will be destroyed." The other aliens in the room became quiet. Some of them moved away from the Vorthak. Jinho had seen this before. When a new species tried to take control by force, the smart species stayed away from them. "That sounds difficult," Yunji said. "Many species live in this area. They have their own worlds and their own ways. Perhaps we can find a better solution." Thekmor made a sound like laughing, but it was not friendly. "Humans think talking fixes everything. Humans think words are stronger than weapons. You are weak." An old alien called Kethran stood up slowly. The Kethran species had lived in space for thousands of years. They were very wise. "Young Vorthak, you should listen to the humans. They have brought peace to our galaxy." "Peace for the weak," Thekmor said. "The strong take what they want." Another alien, one of the blue-skinned Althari, shook her head. "You do not understand what you are doing." "I understand perfectly," Thekmor said. He turned back to Yunji. "Here are our terms. All human colonies will be moved. We will take the best worlds. You will give us your technology. You will serve the Vorthak Empire." Jinho spoke for the first time. "We cannot accept those terms." Thekmor looked at him. "Then you will be destroyed." Before you make that choice, Jinho said quietly, let us offer you something different. We can give you empty worlds to live on. We can share our technology for peaceful uses. We can help your people find a place in our galactic community. We do not want your help, Techmore said. We take what we need. The meeting went on for hours. The humans offered many different solutions. They offered trade agreements. They offered empty star systems. They offered to help the Vorthak build new colonies. Every time Techmore said no, your offers show how weak you are. Techmore finally said, strong species do not ask. They take. The old Kethron tried one more time. Young one, listen to me. I have lived for 800 years. I have seen many species try to conquer others. The humans are different. They choose peace, but that does not mean they cannot choose war. Old creature, your words mean nothing, Techmore said. If humans could fight, they would fight. Because they only talk, they are weak. The blue Althari stood up. We are warning you because we care about all life. Do not anger the humans. Your warnings are the fear of weak species, Techmore said. Watch and learn what strength looks like. After the meeting, the aliens who had tried to warn the Vorthak stayed to talk with the humans. They will not listen, the Kethran said sadly. Some species must learn the hard way. How long has it been? Asked the Althari. 212 years since the last time, Jinho said quietly. What happened to that species? Asked a young alien who had never heard the story. The older aliens became very quiet. Finally, the Kethran spoke. Nothing happened to them. They simply stopped existing. Dr. Minji checked her tablet. Commander, the Vorthak ships are moving toward the neutral zone. Are there any human colonies in that area? Asked Captain Dohyun. Yes, Minji said. New Seoul is the closest. Jinho stood up and looked out at the stars. For over 200 years, humans had chosen peace. They had built a galaxy where different species could live together safely. They had stopped wars before they started. They had helped millions of beings find better lives, but some species, it seemed, would never learn. Send a message to New Seoul, Jinho said. Tell them to prepare for visitors. Tell them to try very hard to make those visitors happy. And if they cannot make them happy? Dohyun asked. Jinho was quiet for a long moment. Then he said something he had not said for over 200 years. Then we will remember why the galaxy learned to leave us alone.